Hello everyone, welcome to this latest episode of New South Wales Bred. I'll get straight into it because we have had the busiest week in this whole series and we've got another big, busy week coming up. Now, we get accused of a lot of things on this show, but what we can't be accused of is not being able to attract the big names. Amanda Rando, Michael Dumacy, and our special guest this week, Fred Hastings. Welcome.
G'day, Paul. Hello, guys.
Great to have you all on the show. Now, as we said last week, we were previewing what was coming up, and Wagga was on the agenda, and we started off there on Friday afternoon. Michael Dumacy, you were calling. Look, Brad Hewitt got it off to a great start with Lulu May, didn't he?
Big afternoon for Hollywood Hewitt and his brother Scott. They did get the afternoon off well with Lulu May. She's a very nice filly, Lulu May, owned by the O'Sullivans down in Canberra, and they've had a pretty good time. J.O. and his brother Frankie, they've had some pretty nice horses produced in this Breeders' Challenge series, and it was good to see her get it off in style. She's a very nice filly. She led all the way, clocked good time. She was asked for the supreme effort at the top of the straight, and when she was, she really extended. Has how far she can go into the series. I think she'll be thereabouts when it does come to the semi-finals.
The other fillies heat, you were calling, Michael, Rock and Roll Sass for Adam Richardson and Alana Pitt.
Yeah, she went well, Rock and Roll Sass. Sat leader's back. The leader, Where You Been Twisting, got along at a fairly good clip, and she's won 2 races doing similar things down there at Wagga now. Has Rock and Roll Sass sitting leader's back and being able to use the sprint lane. She was good enough, and she's another one that could be an opportunist come semi-finals time. You
wrote a piece for the final quarter yesterday with regards to I'm in Trouble. There's a really, really nice story with I'm in Trouble, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I'm in Trouble. It's trained by Michael Hawke at Canberra. He's been unable to get out of the ACT, so he sends a horse up to the regional areas with Corey Parker, who's a very good trainer in his own right, and it was able to come up, win the heat. But the thing behind the story is it was reared by a couple of breeders, Ross Angrove and his crew down at Sutton, and they have 4 horses now that are heading to the 2-year-old semi-finals that they've either reared or bred, including Marvella, who was a heat winner, I'm in Trouble, also Mystical Jazz, and My Cousin Skeeter.
Amanda, Brad Hewitt had Armour Rolling Stone in one of those races, and it was odds on, didn't get the chocolates. I sensed that there was an angry and a determined Brad Hewitt when it came to Marvella.
Yes, this horse, led and won just over a metre. It looked like it was sort of waiting for him across the line, but did enough to get the job done. Yeah, and
beat home Excelente, who was the odds-on favourite in that race. Look, they both will qualify and go through to the semi-finals at Menangle. As I said, we've got lots to get through. We're going to breeze through these races. Newcastle, we moved on to on Friday night. Amanda, Mystical Jazz did a really nice job there in Newcastle.
Yeah, sure did. Nice little filly by for a reason. Had a gun trip behind the leader and just ran home a really slick last sectional and was just too strong for him. They couldn't catch her.
She's Lush was second, just edged out Better A Girl, who's one of your favourites, I know.
Yes, yeah, Better A Girl. She's had, she hasn't had a proper race for a few weeks, so I think that race fitness just caught her off guard on that night.
Michael, we saw a real week of front runners get to the front, hang on and win, but we saw a rare swooper in St. Crusader there at Newcastle.
Yeah, he's a nice horse in the making, St. Crusader, Paul. Comes from the Clayton Harmony camp. Speaking to Clayton at the start of the year or at the start of the 2-year-old campaigns, he did explain that St. Crusader could possibly be the best of them. We've seen Skyfall Andy and also Skyfall 17, who are very nice 2-year-olds also. But yeah, Clayton has always had a bit of a rap on this horse, and it was good to see him produce for Clayton. It's a horse that he bred himself, he bought himself at the yearling sales, and yeah, he's always had a bit of a rap on him. So good to see him come up with the chocolates here at Newcastle.
I saw him early on in his career, Paul. I'm pretty sure I called his first race at Newcastle on a Monday afternoon, and he just gave the impression that day that he was going to make the grade, and that's certainly been evident by his 4 wins to date.
Oh, look, it was pretty impressive, Freddie. One of the great things, isn't it, that we managed to take qualifiers out of the regions, not just at headquarters in the metro races.
I think that's important because it is a statewide event, and we see that, and we get to see the good horses. If it was just for those domiciled in and around the metro area, we'd be missing out on some outstanding horses.
Well, Freddie, you had the best seat in the house there on Tuesday at Menangle, where we saw the three-year-olds fire up the Jets. Obviously, Jack Trainer's taken a suspension, and Luke McCarthy took the drive on Antonia for the first time and did the business that we expected, although it wasn't as clear-cut as probably we thought it might have been.
Well, Thorny said, I think on this program last week, that he wasn't overly happy with her performance at Penrith. I thought, given the circumstances and the smaller track and where she ended up in running, that she did a great job to get as close as she did. But you could see she was more at home on the roomy Menangle track, her home track, but she certainly got a bit of a fright running her down to what was it, a metre or so was Max Legacy, who had the sitting shot. But look, I think she did all she had to do, all that they really wanted her to do, and that'll give Jack some heart that he'll be back behind her, no doubt, I'm sure, come finals night.
You don't think he'll give up the drive to Luke?
I would be pretty confident that that's a no hope. That's a no.
Amanda, it was pretty quick though. It was a 1:53.
Yeah, on a wet track as well. And look, Antonia, it's been a month between runs. She did trial a few days before that effort on Tuesday, but I think we'll see a better performance from her again in the semis.
Freddie, it was a day of favourites. Better Be Kept got the job done, but gee, that was probably the race of the day. We had a charge of the Light Brigade 5 wide hitting the line. Better Be Kept held on, but it was almost the $61 pop Glamour Fox for Ricky Alchin. Almost proved the upset of the series.
Well, Rick had a great day. He got the day off with his good trotter, What's Up Majestic, and he drove a winner for his brother. He had a great day at the office. In fact, the Alchin boys, they all, Jared, Alex, and Rick, all trained a winner on the day with Rick driving through. But yeah, Glamour Fox, she sailed down the outside. She hit the line full of running, and she was a real eye catcher. Better Be Kept got the job done for Chris Geary and Mick Doltoff. I'm a big fan of Electra. She's run third in that race. She has yet to, she's only finished out of the money on one occasion, but gee, she's been a good money spinner. And a good story about her is it's a massive group of owners that have been racing horses together for probably about 12 years now, and they've stuck solid with the Paul Fitzpatrick stable. They were fans, obviously, of Home and Away because they raced horses like Kate Ritchie, Alf Stewart, Sally Fletcher, who's done so well over in the States. But this one, Electra, nothing to do with Home and Away, unless they've got a character in the pipeline, the producers at Home and Away. But yeah, Better Be Kept got the job done.
Mate, with that fresh haircut you've picked up in Freedom Day, I think that Home and Away beckons for you, Freddie.
Yeah, I can just see myself there with Alf, Stone the Flaming Crows, Paul. We better move on.
I reckon Irene better watch out if Freddie Hastings is on the lookout.
I see you ready to mingle.
Yeah. Michael Dumsey, high voltage was pretty impressive. Obviously, punters warmed to him, but got the job done and was pulling away there at the end on Luke McCarthy's mount.
Yeah, he's a nice horse, high voltage, Paul. He comes from the Coolaman area. Actually, Darryl Perrott, who was down to drive Mr. Ray. Unfortunately, Mr. Ray going amiss in the series. He owns high voltage along with a couple of his owners out of a mare they race called Mandalay Rose. And yeah, he was quite good high voltage. He's a big front running sort of a fella. And look, he's going to be hard to cross or even hold out in a semi-final. He does fly the arm really quickly. I think if he could lead, he'd be a definite chance of making a final for sure.
Freddie, we saw Captain Crusader get the job done, but almost just the beauty of this series is almost as important as the race for second. And we saw a real ding-dong battle there for second. We saw Rocket Boy and Stravinsky going that extra mile to try and make sure that they qualified.
Well, look, Rocket Boy, part of the BPM Bloodstock group, he's done a great job, Jack, with this horse. Blake drove him on Tuesday. He was able to just scramble into second over Stravinsky. Let's Get Rockin' was about 10 metres away from the winner, but it was a pretty fair effort by both runners-up. But Captain Crusader, he looked like he had a little bit up his sleeve, and I think he's going to certainly go deep into the series.
Amanda, we were in Bathurst last night. Winona Ryder, reality bites. I don't know. We could come up with all sorts of Hollywood puns there. But, Bernie Hewitt's got a pretty good one on his hands there, doesn't he?
He sure does. She made it 5 from 5, and look, she just got there at the right time. Bernie didn't panic whatsoever in the run. She went 156.8, and a pretty slick last half as well. But yeah, she's a very exciting filly.
It was a Hewitt procession in the 3-year-olds as well. Michael Dumacy, Ballerini got the job done for Bernie Hewitt as well.
I'm a bit of a Ballerini fan, Paul. She's been good at the last 3 starts. She's made it an 80-plus metre aggregate when it does come to winning races at the last 3 starts. She's really turned a corner. I know early days that Bernie and his sons had a pretty big opinion of Ballerini, and she's really putting the runs on the board now. She led last night, and there was a couple in that race like I'm Desirable and a couple of other fillies that are well performed, and Ballerini really put them to the sword from the 400-metre mark and ran away to score quite comfortably. I think she's an improving type, and hopefully she can keep going on with the job for Team Picker. I know Dennis Picker and his brother Joe own the filly, so good to see them getting a little bit of success.
So just to pick up on that, do you think that the 3-year-olds seem so open this year? Could we see something from the regions and one of these country horses come through and potentially take it out this year?
Oh, definitely, Paul. I think maybe a horse like a Cashed Up or a Lyrical Genius, who were good last night at Bathurst, could be definite chances. I'm a really big Lyrical Genius fan. Amanda Turnbull just has a knack of being able to get these horses through heat runs, not do it too tough. I know he's a bit of a fired up, like a horse that can get really fired up, Lyrical Genius, but I think if he got back down to that roomy Menangle surface and got the right sort of a run, I really think he could be a chance going into a semi-final and even into a final. But yeah, it is the sort of year where we could see something come from a bit left field.
Amanda, Michael's just talked about Lyrical Genius. He was great. And as we said, the Hewitts dominated the fillies. It was the Turnbulls for the Colts and Geldings. So Lyrical Genius got the job done. Did just beat home a flying Cashed Up. And then we saw Cassius Deck.
Yes, Lyrical Genius won up along the sprint lane, hit the line strongly. I thought Cashed Up was very brave in defeat, did a lot of work. That was an interesting little heat. And then Cassius Deck, had the good trip. It was the slowest heat of the night. They just went just a tick over 2 minutes in that heat, but got the job done for Steve and Mitch Turnbull.
We saw, Freddie, I'm sure you're across it, but we saw a couple of just experts at what they do in Amanda Turnbull and Bernie Hewitt probably put on a few lessons in how to drive winners at Bathurst.
Oh, well, they're amongst the best. It's their home base. You come to expect it. And just to expand on what Mick said, I big fan of Ballerini. I agree with Mick. And given that there's a potential for that side of the race, the 3-year-olds, to be quite open, I wouldn't be riding Ballerini off. As you say, Mick, a progressive type who seems to be improving with each run.
All right, well, look, we've got the 3-year-olds move on to Wagga tomorrow afternoon. There's some nice types there. Michael Dumpsey, I know you're a big fan of the Stain for Corey Parker.
Yeah, he's a nice horse to stay in. I'd like to see him keep going on with it. I think he'll win tomorrow. He's the type of horse that could get down into the 152 range there at Wagga if they really extend him. I don't think he will tomorrow. He'll just do what he needs to do to get through to the semi-finals and then head on to a final at Menangle. But he's run behind Barroom Banter after only having 4 starts. He's only had the 6 starts now, but only after having 4 starts, they broke the track record at Leeton. They went 153 and change in that race, and he stuck to his guns well. Barroom Banter's come out since and won quite handsomely at Menangle on Tuesday. I think the Stain's a player. He could be one that comes from left field to really give a couple of these better horses or the bigger names a shake going into a final.
He's dusty for Brad Hewitt as well, Michael.
Yeah, he's dusty. He's got some head noise. He's dusty. Talking to Brad Hewitt, he's definitely got some head noise, but he is a very nice horse. And Brad said he's just a bit like a big kid. He just likes to get out there and have a play around, but when he puts his mind on the job, he's definitely a horse that can run some time. And I expect him to win his heat also. And the Hollywood Hewitt juggernaut to roll on down at Wagga. He's starting to make it his second home base there at Wagga, and between him and Jack Painting, they're getting a lot of winners down there.
Amanda, David Kennedy's got a couple of nice fillies in action there at Wagga tomorrow.
Yeah, he does. I think the two fillies heats at Wagga are a lot more open than what the boys heats are. In the first fillies heat, David has a perfect dance drawn ideally in barrier 1. James Rattray is well represented there with Honey Chicken, a little filly that's been thereabouts and consistent of late. So I think that's an open heat. And the other fillies heat, David Kennedy has Artie's Dime, which has been very consistent and is first up for him, and has drawn well in barrier 4.
Freddie, the heat phase of this series wraps up tomorrow night at Newcastle. Hot Jiving's going for 4 in a row. It's the bookies have got it at odds on at the moment. Would you expect that Hot Jiving might be the one to beat there?
Yeah, I think it will. I think the bookies have got it right, and I know Mick follows the prices very closely. I think it's a fair enough call that's where the horse sits in terms of favouritism, but it's also got a few that are going to be keeping it company. A horse like One Reason, Roy Roots Jr., very nice type, and the other one that I suspected will go okay up there. Formerly raced down here, and she was just below them down here, probably a rung or so, but might improve is Stelina. But certainly Hot Jiving and One Reason for me, they're the two in that race.
Michael Darmasi, I'm keen to see how Pop's Boy goes in the final round tomorrow night.
I think he wins Pop's Boy from gate number 1, Paul. I'm keen to see him also. Mick Formosa had him flying just before a few little things did go wrong with him. Not so much as a horse, but race-wise, things didn't really go to plan in a couple of races, especially in that heat up at Tamworth. I think he's a lot better horse than that, and he should be knocking over that field. But the Arigari team's coming out after him. I spoke to Adam, and he's quite bullish about the chances of 3 in Heaven and also Manho. So he's definitely there to win the race, Rigari, and he thinks he's a really good chance of knocking off Pop's Boy.
Look, that will wrap up the heats phase of the Breeders' Challenge Series. Then we move into the big bit, Freddie. I reckon you are just warming up the hot milk and the nice little cookie for Santa because Christmas is nearly upon us, semi-finals time. How good. And they've all qualified. All the big guns that we expected. It's just 2 sensational semi-finals, aren't they?
It's incredible. I've said, I've been asked over the years, I do interviews and the like, and I'm asked, what's your favourite race? What's your favourite race meeting to call? Is it Miracle Mile? Is it Into Dominions? And as great as those races are and as much as I love them, I've always said Breeders' Challenge. The unknown of the juveniles coming through and the tactics that can play such a part. And we see these horses come right through the big races like the Gold Crown and the like, and then you get to Breeders' Challenge time, and it's just a super time. I love it. I just love the atmosphere, and good news, obviously, that crowds being back at the racetrack, that makes it even more exciting.
Amanda, what a ride Maltese has had through this series. It was favourite, then it galloped, didn't qualify, had to trial, it put 90 metres on him in an exhibition trial, then it came out and did a job, it's qualified, now it's $1.30 favourite for the semi-finals. What a roller coaster Maltese has had.
Exactly, and drawn barrier 1 for the semi-final, so that's a blessing for him. Look, he needs to be on his best behaviour. He's going to have some really nice horses chasing him if he's not. So I don't know if barrier 1 is going to be a help or a hindrance for him. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes, but he definitely has the shortest trip home, so he definitely has a lot of things going his way in that semi.
Michael Darmasi, we saw My Ultimate Ronnie do a job on Maltese in the first round of the heats at Penrith. They're up. They go head-to-head again in this one.
Yeah, I think just Maltese all the way. I think he's a horse that will fight out with My Ultimate Byron to win this series. I'd be surprised if the winner come outside of those two. Funnier things have happened, and we've seen Maltese, as you said, ride the roller coaster throughout the series, but I think they're just those two quality horses, and now Mr. Ray comes out. It becomes a bit of a match race, but anything can happen in these 2-year-old heats. I also thought My Ultimate Byron would be just leading and winning his heat from gate number 1, but there's a bit of a smoky there that could run a place. I'm in trouble. He draws 2. He's going to get the right sort of a run on My Ultimate Byron's back, and if he does get that right sort of a card, I think he can make a final and definitely be a place chance heading into these bigger races.
Well, Freddie, Michael's dropped more names than the telephone book there. Do you think that anything can come out of that? Because, we've got, for example, something like Mahomes just seems to progressively be chipping away at this series. Luke McCarthy on board, they don't get too much better than Luke. Can we see something else emerge?
Look, I agree with Mick. I think small T's. I mean, that trial, the 91 metres was probably irrelevant. It was the time. The way the horse just went through his gears. I thought he's clearly got a few little issues, small T's, because he seemed to crab a little bit around the turn at Menangle in that heat win. So he's still learning all about it. But the horse and I agree with Mick in that they should fight it out, he and my old Byron. But there's a horse that's been very good in his race career to date and done a good job in this series is Dougie Sloy. I nominate him as a dark horse. I don't think he can beat my ultimate Byron, and I don't know that he can beat the others in the final should he get through, and I think he will. But he's a horse. He's worth a place all day, Dougie Sloy. I think he will work his way through and be quite a handy type. You've mentioned Mahomes, and pretty much that's the tail of the tape for me. I think Sane Crusader, Mick talked about it earlier as a roughie. It's another one that's got capability. But for me, I think it'll be a small tease, my ultimate Byron 1-2, just which way it works out in the final, and that's on the assumption they will comfortably get through Saturday. Which way it goes, I'm a bit of a Byron fan, to be honest.
Amanda, you mentioned Dougie Sloy last episode of this, so good to see you're not the only one standing there in the cheer squad. Now in the fillies, it seems like there's probably a few more contenders emerging. Obviously, Madrid's at the top of the pile, Freddie.
Yeah, look, her win at Penrith was very good, and she always gave the impression she's going to be more suited at home, and she showed that in a win recently. Jared's just got an incredible team at the moment, and that's just another, she's just another member of it. But I do have to say, Martini Stride in a later heat, I was really taken by her run. I know Captain's Queen is the fave at the moment, but I did really like the run of Martini Stride with the sit. Now, she's drawn 2 in the semi, so she's drawn to get another stalk sit, and she's got a little good turn of foot. I think the acceleration when called upon is going to be crucial for her. But I agree with what you say, Paul. The fillies, not only in the 2-year-olds, in the 3-year-olds, I think is where there will be a far more open race pattern emerge as we get deeper into the series, and we could have an upset here or there.
Yeah, Martini Stride's one we identified in the show last week of how strong to the line she was. A couple others, Michael Dumacy, Let's Party Baby's one that I know that you've got a high opinion of. Luke McCarthy has got Let's Party Baby. Silk Cloud's another one that Luke McCarthy's on. You can't rule out anything that the McCarthys are on, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, Paul. I like Silk Cloud as a filly. She's a very nice filly. She was one of the favourites heading into a Gold Tiara final at Bathurst. And also she won the Pink Bonnet. So she's a nice filly. Tony Higgs knows what it's like to win a size stakes or a Breeders' Challenge. He won one, it was a while ago now with Hannah Mackenzie. It actually was a life-changing experience for the Higgs family, and it's good to see that they've got another nice filly in Silk Cloud. I think it's quite open. Madrid probably goes to the top of the tree for me, though.
Amanda, the other one I guess we haven't mentioned in the last couple of minutes is Miss X, but I know that she was super impressive in her win there at Menangle.
Yeah, I actually really like her in that semi. I think she could be a bit of an upset in that race drawn in Barrier 1. I think she'll get a nice sit behind Madrid. I think Jimmy Douglas will be happy to take a sit on a filly like Madrid, and I think Madrid will take her right into the race. So she's a very consistent type, Miss X. She's tough as well. So if she's required to do work for some reason from Barrier 1, I'm sure she can carry it through. And she's had 3 starts back this preparation. So she's really just starting to wind up now. So I'm actually tipping a bit of an upset in that semi-final, Paul.
Well, I was just about to come to bold predictions. Is that your bold prediction, Amanda? Miss X?
Yeah, it sure is. Barrier 1, I just think she's got a lot of options from that draw. Madrid's going to have to do a bit more work from where she's drawn further up the track. Not taking away anything from Madrid. She's a very class filly, but I just think with the barrier draws, Miss X is a huge danger from that draw.
Freddie, you've got to be impartial. You've got to call these races, but bold prediction?
Bold prediction, Dougie Sloy to run a cracking race behind My Ultimate Byron. We'll take the Quinella all day.
Beautiful. Michael, what do you got for us?
Bold prediction for Saturday night. I'm with the My Ultimate Byron. I'm in trouble, Quinella or Exacta. I think leader's back, and whatever finds 3 pegs on the form guides, I think play the trifecta. My other bold prediction is I'm going to tip one each way at Wagga Friday afternoon in the heat of the fillies. I like a filly by the name of Head Turner. This one comes from the Tony Turner camp at Young, and young Blake Micallef takes the reins. It crossed them from gate number 8 last time out and run second behind 444, and 444's come out and taken all before him. And I think at the $21 it's been offered up early, it'll be something to have something each way on, definitely.
I've been so impressed this season. I know it keeps delivering, as you said, Freddie, year on year, but this one has just been top draw.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's my favourite, and it's sort of you count down, and then we get through Breeders' Challenge, and then there's about 4 weeks, and we're into Dominion. It's just a great time to be alive in New South Wales.
Oh, absolutely. And all I hear you tell me is how much work I've got to do, Freddie. So thanks very much.
You'll be busy. Don't you worry about that. Over time.
Hey, Freddie, fantastic to have you. Good calling. I think we're really lucky that it's your voice that's going to provide the soundtrack to this Breeders' Challenge series. Best luck with the call on Saturday for the semi-finals and as the series progresses. Amanda, thanks for your time. Michael Darmacy, great to see you. You haven't been pulled over by the police there, have you? I saw you roadside in your car.
No, I haven't been pulled over by the police. I just doing a little bit on the road today, but no police around me.
That's what they all say. All right, good to have you on again, mate. Thank you for your time.
Been a while.
To everyone out there tuning in, thanks for joining us for this issue of New South Wales Bred. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.